Hey, how's it going, people? Welcome to the Sunday Band Stories. This one is all about Rhodes County and other bands as well. So let's get straight into it. It's also about all the tones that we used to get back in the 80s and how I think that there's been a big change in the American way from, like, when we got into the country. It was all the sort of, that style. That sort of, that good twang that you got out of the. Anyway, so, and we wrote songs as well, obviously, as you know that, and as Rhodes County. And we wrote like Tequila Time, which would have had that in it. Which would have been Bob's bit. And that would have been a similar sound that Bob would have used, and same as Joe on his solo. It'd probably be this tone. And Joe liked a lot of that sort of stuff. Because they weren't really country players, Bob and Joe. They were like bluesy, rocky players from the 80s, and they had to adapt, so to that sound to get that. And then I came along, because I was the drummer at first for Rhodes County, if you probably remember. Then I came along a couple of years later, and I started playing the guitar, and I was a sort of rocky player as well, but I was able to I started adapting this sort of, don't know where it came from. I started adapting that sort of thing in my playing. Don't know why. Anyway, so getting to that. But I think what we tried to do is, because we were rocky blues players, when we wrote songs, we just tried to write them the way we played, instead of trying to be like more country as us, because they were able to put Pete on the squeeze box and Keith the drummer went on to the fiddle, and they had John McIntyre and his keyboards were just amazing. Like his piano sound was right up to date at the time with that, it was right there. And they were able to get young Carl at the time, on drums. Now we don't know who Carl Brazil is. He plays with Robbie Williams and everybody, so there you go. But even Pete had that sort of rock tone as well. He was like a rocky sort of player as well, although he could play clean as well. But so they were called the Stu Pace Band, where he had that sort of rocky sort of sound as well, and so did Roger Humphreys in his band, and they were great. He always remembers me a Lincoln with his big beard, but they were brilliant. And there was another band that I saw at Prestatyn, the Out of Hand Band, and they were pretty rocky as well, So there you go, and it's just the way it goes. Anyway, so getting back to it, when we used to write, we would write these sort of sounds. I mean, when we wrote Lady in the North Country, it was. Bob would be. It wasn't really country, but it passed. It passed. Had that turned down there, so it would have been. As country as you're going to get from us, And then when we used to do the Kentucky Headhunters, Joe would use this sort of sound on it. Like that. I would keep it on. I would be. But Joe would, he would have it backed off a bit. Still effective, and you know, definitely. And getting to the Randy Houser of nowadays, House Sound, when they do a song, I can't remember what the song's called now, but I know how it goes. It sounds like AC/DC to me, you know, it's like. You know, it's very AC/DC, I don't even think it's missing it. You know, that sort of thing. But he sounded very like, Randy Houser sounded very AC/DC to me, but it's brilliant stuff, man. And the other band that was doing well for themselves were sort of rockier sound as well, from Scotland. They were called Texas Gun. Now, if you wanted a band that were more traditional, I think they were doing it before we got on the scene. I think Colorado were there, and I never really got to meet them or hear them, but I've heard tapes of them, and they were good. You know, I've seen videos and stuff. They were good, really good band. But I would say they could have been a bit more like the Brazil band, you know. But they were really good. And another band from Caithness, but they were older country, they kept it really old, was the Duke Boys. Now, when I joined the Duke Boys myself, I joined it with that style, you know. That. And people used to say, oh, he's good guitarist, but he sounds like he should be playing for Bon Jovi or somebody like that. And they were right, you know. But that's just the way it was. And there was another band that was on the scene back then, and they were brilliant. It was Sarah Jory Band, and she played the pedal steel, you know. Fantastic band. And they were really, really good. Really, really good. And yeah, brilliant stuff. But like getting back to our writing, like I say, we would do it that way. And Joe's solo sound, it would be let me find this now. It would be more like that. You know, he would have that sort of, and he'd do so. Whereas me, I kept it true, and I was more you know, right in your face. Which was you either liked or you didn't. That was my sort of thing, you know. Sort of. You know, that would be right in your face. Same as what do you call the song? You know, Desert Rose. You know, we kept it clean. It wasn't anything special. We were just using the sounds that we had. And what I'm trying to get to now is, if you notice, nearly everything that comes out of America now, like the newer stuff, it's all that sort of tone. And then some of them, when it gets to the solo, it's like that. You know, especially bands like Randy Houser, Luke Combs, I mean, there was bands back then doing that, like Lone Star, obviously. The Eagles were doing it, obviously. They had Joe Walsh and So they were doing it, but I didn't class them as country, to be honest with you. I've always thought they were, I don't know, middle of the road. Don't know what you'd call it. But anyway, there was a lot of bands. And Vince Gill, he kept it country. He was really good. I liked him. You know, absolutely brilliant. But what I'm trying to get to is just that the times have changed, and I think the traditional country is gone. I mean, Alan Jackson, I think that's why he gave up, because that traditional country that you're used to, pedal steels and things like that, it just seems to have disappeared a bit, and it's now all rock, which it's not Rhodes County's fault for playing like that, because that's just the way we played. But the bands nowadays, that's what I'm trying to get to. They sound more like Rhodes County, the Brazil band, Stu Page, you know, Roger Humphreys, Out of Hand Band, Texas Gun. We all played like that because that's just the way we played, and now the American bands seem to play that way now. It's, if you listen to the country charts now, everything's like country rock now. You seem to losing all that pedal steel, and not totally, but you know, just the way it goes. Everything goes around and around and around. But anyway, it's just a wee insight to what I would think might be happening. You know, and what it does. I came to see you in the night, and your dress looks alright. And that could be any band that wrote that. It could have been, I mean, back in the day, it could have been Southern Pacific that wrote something like that, you know, or Highway 101, or because that's what we tried to base our sound on, the bands that sounded rockier, because Garth Brooks, because we didn't have that pedal steel or the keyboards. We did have Bob, however, playing bits, but he was mainly playing synth bits, and it sounded amazing. So there you go, British country meets US country, and I hope it was just a wee talk about Sunday band stories, Rhodes County, and all the other bands that influenced us. It was good. So there you go. I'll just let you know, all the sounds being played on this Sterling guitar by John Petrucci, and all the sounds have been played on my new Stadium Helix XL, or XL Stadium, whatever you want to call it. I've not checked out the new amps yet. I've just uploaded 3 new amps, but that'll be coming soon. So thanks for watching.